In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and here's how you can engage in the content. You got to go over to Instagram. That's where we start the show every single time. Go follow me. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like Miss Katie and Code Keto for Life, Jinja, S. Blaster, KK Cook, Sharon, Kimmy. There's so many people coming in. Thank you guys for being here right now for this episode of Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, it does disappear. You'll need to go check it out on replay on YouTube. That's where we house all the past episodes of this here show. And then finally we have, and so look up JimmyRants.com, by the way, to find it. Or go to Jimmy Rants keyword search on YouTube. You'll also find it. Finally, the best of the best moments of this here show is in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. And I see my friend Lindy Bolsterbaum, Keto Teacher Mom, here on Instagram. But Lindy, she's on both. How'd you do that, Lindy? Are you on two devices? That's pretty cool. Today's Jimmy Rants is a celebratory one because you guys know I like to write books, and I have written a bunch of books in the keto space for a very long time, especially over the past few years since I got signed by a major publisher in Victory Belt Publishing. They have given me the great honor of being able to write books for them. And so most people know me because of my book, Keto Clarity, but I've had a bunch of other books as well. Well, guess what, guys? I finally have a companion book for Keto Clarity. It's the Keto Clarity Cookbook. The crowd goes wild. Okay, maybe the crowd didn't go wild, but there is a cookbook. Finally. I released Keto Clarity 5 years ago, and we have a book that's a cookbook. And in Keto Clarity, we had a few recipes, but it wasn't a recipe book. This is a recipe book, and I cannot wait to tell you more about a lot of the recipes in here and who my co-author is on this. Sweetheart of a lady you definitely need to know about, and I'll tell you about that here in a minute. So, Keto Clarity Cookbook. Let me give you a little bit of background. So when Keto Clarity took off 5 years ago, when it came out, it was kind of the first of its kind book. Nobody had ever written a book that had keto in the title until Keto Clarity came out. And so Keto Clarity comes out, and it's an uber success right off the bat. My publisher comes to me and they say, we need a cookbook. I'm like, okay, how about Keto Clarity Cookbook? And they were like, well, since keto is so brand new, nobody's written the ketogenic cookbook. Why don't we have you write the ketogenic cookbook? And that's when I went and got Maria Emmerich, and she and I collaborated on that book. Love that book, but that was supposed to be the Keto Clarity Cookbook, was what turned into the ketogenic cookbook. So time went by, and I went on and did a fasting book with Dr. Jason Fung and some other things, but I never did get a Keto Clarity Cookbook. So now, after waiting 5 years, we finally get Keto Clarity Cookbook. It's releasing June the 18th. So if you're watching this before that, you can pre-order now, KetoClarityCookbook.com. Or if you're watching after June the 18th, if you're watching it on replay on YouTube, this book is now available after June the 18th in stores everywhere. Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. We're hopeful it'll get into Costco as well. Most of my books have been getting into Costco, so real excited to get Keto Clarity Cookbook in your hands. And so what we did was we have the brand Keto Clarity, and those of you that are big fans of Keto Clarity, everybody who has read Keto Clarity, let me see you. Raise your hand loud, raise your hand proud. Have you read Keto Clarity? Just go ahead and yes, read it, or nope, haven't. Share. Because I think this is the perfect book as a companion piece to those of you that have read Keto Clarity. And so many people have told me how that book has changed their lives. It helped explain keto in such easy to understand language. A lot of you loved the moment of clarity quotes that were in there. Many of you loved the simplicity of the language. You also loved kind of the acronym for keto to help you understand it better. Well, guess what, guys? The new book has all of that, plus beautiful recipes. So let's go in this a little bit. I want you to see what we got going on here. So I write all the front matter here and share about the history of Keto Clarity and how it took off and how this book came about. But those of you that read Keto Clarity, you remember the moment of clarity quotes, and we had various experts that I quoted throughout the book. Well, guess what? The moment of clarity experts are back, and look who is in there. Dr. Will Cole, who is my Keto Talk co-host. He is in there. Gus Vickery, he's another medical doctor who has helped Christine and I out running some tests. He's in the Asheville, North Carolina area. By the way, Will is the author of Ketotarian as well. Then you'll notice a few more faces that are familiar. Dr. Ken Berry, Lies My Doctor Told Me. Dr. Ryan Lowry, so you guys know him, Make Positivity Louder. And then we have over here, Dr. Eric Westman, who was my co-author on Keto Clarity, as well as Cholesterol Clarity. And then another newcomer, Dr. Tony Hampton, who I really think you're going to love what Tony has to say. So these are my Clarity speakers. And so in the book, if you remember reading Keto Clarity, we had little moment of clarity quotes all throughout the book. Well, we did the same thing. You got the magnifying glass and then quotes in there. So the main text is what I'm writing, making it simple to understand. And then there's a supporting quote from one of these medical doctors that reinforces the concepts that we're sharing. And guys, you'll recall as well from Keto Clarity, the little acronym for keto, KETO. So that's the original acronym. But look what we did for each of the chapters. In the beginning of each chapter, this was my idea. I was pretty proud of it, but check this out, guys. We did a brand new KETO. Let me go close here on Instagram, and then I'll show Facebook. So see, I know it's backwards, but it's a brand new acronym for keto. And we did that for each of the chapters. So like the first chapter, eating low carb is the foundation of it all. And so we wanted to give you a KETO that reinforced that message. Then in chapter 2, keto isn't a high protein diet, it's a moderate protein diet. And again, we have a KETO that reinforces that. Pretty cool, huh? And again, the moment of clarity quotes all throughout, just like is familiar from Keto Clarity. We wanted people that had read Keto Clarity to pick up Keto Clarity Cookbook. And if you're just joining us, yes, this is my brand new book. This is my 9th book, you guys. And I'm pretty darn proud of it. We wanted people that had read Keto Clarity, the original Keto Clarity, to pick up this cookbook and go, okay, that's familiar. I've seen that before. And I'm pretty pleased with how it came out. So, see if there's any. Oh, one of the things that I included in this book that we did not really highlight in Keto Clarity heavily because we were so focused on the diet itself. One of the things that we highlighted was the lifestyle factors that can impact ketosis, and by extension of ketosis, impact your health. So we put in there about sleep, which I think is incredibly important. We put in there about exercise and stress, all of these things that we know are important. But it is a cookbook, and what do you get a cookbook for? You get a cookbook because you want incredible recipes. Well, let me introduce you to a lady. Her name is Heather Rushin. Heather is incredible, you guys. Here on Instagram, she is Heather's Real Food. So there is Heather right there, so you can see her. But go look up at Heather's Real Food over on Instagram. She's amazing, you guys. And you're going to see here in a minute, some of her food photography is just absolutely spectacular. But she is a whiz, you guys, at coming up with really incredible recipes that are easy, simple, and, oh yeah, by the way, are made of real whole foods. And yes, whether you're wondering or not, we do have a meal plan for you. We also have shopping lists in the book as well. So you take all of the complexity out of how you plan the meals. And it's 4 total weeks worth of plans. So you can do the 4 weeks and then tweak it and mix it up and make it so it lasts a while. Again, if you're just joining us, we are going through my brand new book, get it out in a minute, Keto Clarity Cookbook, and all that is inside of here. It's a spectacular book, and if you've read the original Keto Clarity, this is the perfect companion piece for Keto Clarity. We did so much more with this book that I think you're really going to enjoy. It's going to be both familiar and brand new. So don't think that we're just regurgitating what we put in Keto Clarity. There is so much brand new stuff in this book that we did not put in Keto Clarity. We also, for those of you that don't eat dairy, we have a dairy-free meal plan as well as shopping lists. So some people have sensitivities to dairy. You have autoimmune disease and that kind of thing, so you're avoiding dairy. So we have dairy-free plans. Now, guys, the recipes. Oh my goodness. Does that not look beautiful? Does that not look just absolutely gorgeous? I am so proud of the food photography in this book. And those of you that follow Heather's Real Food over on Instagram, you know how good her food photography is. But those of you that have never heard of her before, guys, this stuff is just spectacular. Look at that food. Does that not like jump off the page and say, eat me, eat me? So those right there, the cheesy stuffed meatballs, is that not gorgeous and beautiful? Man, oh man, I'm getting hungry just looking at these recipes. So, prosciutto meat cups. So there's another beautiful photography. I know it's a little bit hard to see because of the glossy pages, getting a little bit of glare. There's a soup, George's soup. Rosemary, mushroom, and Swiss burgers. I mean, it's just beautiful, you guys. I hope you get excited to want to get in the kitchen and cook. That's the whole point of the real food and keto message, is get back into the kitchen again and cook. Prosciutto arugula pizza. Isn't that beautiful? That pizza crust, by the way, is made of psyllium husk, and we have a whole recipe for that on page 92, she says in here. Crispy baked chicken. I mean, your mouth will water just looking at this. Oh, this was funny. Greens and ham baked eggs. Greens and ham. Instead of green eggs and ham, get it? Greens and ham. And then look at some of the desserts. This, you guys. Oh my goodness. Lemon macaroons. Look at that. Lemon macaroons if you like coconut. And then a keto caramel sauce. And she's got a few little specks of salt on there, because how do you not put salt in caramel these days with all the salted caramel stuff? Chocolate chip cookies. And then she's got various drinks as well. It's just a very elegant way that it's been put together. Now, I'm going to warn you ahead of time. If you get Keto Clarity Cookbook and you wonder what the macronutrients are for the recipes, we're doing something very risky. And I want to warn you ahead of time. There are no macronutrients listed. What? Every book has the calories and the fat and the protein and the carbs, and you might be wondering, why would you not put them in there? Well, we explain why. And Heather and I are both on the same page with this. Heather and I both think when you obsess about the macronutrients, you're still in dieting mode. And we want you to be very intuitive with how you eat. Now, we will assure you that every single recipe in here is fitting perfectly the macros that are a ketogenic diet. And if you feel like you want to run those numbers, guys, there's an app for that. There's so many apps out there that you put in the ingredients to stuff and it will spit out all that macronutrient stuff. We did not want to make that the obsession with this particular book. And I want to read a little bit from the Why No Macros. We've all gone down the rabbit hole of feeling like we need to track every single morsel that we put in our mouths as a means of determining how good or bad we've been on our diets. When you stop and think about it, we allow this process of tracking to wield great power over who we are. How you measure up can affect your sense of self-worth, make you judge yourself based on what your dieting record happens to be. Has this process ever made you feel good? Do you think it made you more successful in your efforts to be healthy? Yeah, me neither. Honestly, it didn't make me feel good at all. In fact, it stressed me out to no end, which made things like weight loss and getting healthy that much harder. I became obsessed with counting everything that it made me go completely batty. Most days it turned into deep sadness because I always felt like a failure. I internalized it as something that was my problem without ever giving a single thought to how this act of tabulating all the numbers in my food was the root cause of those exact feelings. So break the cycle by learning to be more intuitive in your eating. Jimmy and I are fully committed to helping you learn to listen to your body, because becoming more intuitive with your food choices will help you reap the benefits that come from freeing yourself from the constraints of diet mode. It's time to live, or as Jimmy calls it, start living La Vida low carb. So guys, that is a huge departure from what you see in a lot of the keto books out there. And I just want you to know that ahead of time. But if you want to run the numbers, lots and lots of apps that will help you run the numbers. But we wanted to put the focus on the food and put the focus on real food, the focus on foods that nourish you. And you can rest assured all of these recipes fit perfectly exactly the concepts that we wrote about in Keto Clarity Cookbook. All right. So guys, that's the book. So if you just joined us, this is my new book, set to be released on June the 18th. So that's next Tuesday, 1 week from today. If you're watching this after June 18th, or if you're watching it before, go to KetoClarityCookbook.com. It takes you straight to the Amazon page. It's available in paper, so you get the nice book. Most people like cookbooks in paper form, but a few people do like Kindle books as well. And it is available for pre-order on Kindle. And then once after June 18th, you can just download it right away on your Kindle. But it's there, man. 9th book. That's my book. And yeah, isn't that the front cover photography was just so spectacular. I could not be prouder of a new book. So if you haven't checked it out yet, if you haven't read Keto Clarity, go get Keto Clarity, because it lays the foundation for what we did with Keto Clarity Cookbook. We wanted this to be a resource that people would see familiar. So if you haven't read Keto Clarity, highly urge you to do that. Even if you're kind of an old timer with keto and you've never read Keto Clarity, it'll be a nice kind of reminder of some of the basics. And then when you read Keto Clarity Cookbook, it'll just add to that knowledge, and no, it is not a regurgitation of all the stuff we put in Keto Clarity. It's actually a lot of brand new stuff. So I'm anxious to see what you guys have to say. Let me pop over to Facebook Live first. Welcome in, welcome in. We'll come to you here in a minute on Instagram. Thank you guys for being here today on Jimmy Rants. Beautiful cover, says Sherry. Yeah, we were so proud of how this turned out. I mean, I like that nice white background, and then the keto clarity is in the same font as the original book. And then look at the subtitle. The subtitle of Keto Clarity was Your Definitive Guide to the Benefits of a Low-Carb, High-Fat Diet. Look what we did with the subtitle here. Your Definitive Guide to Cooking Low-Carb, High-Fat Meals. Pretty cool, huh? So again, we tried to make it familiar across the board. Ken says, I read Keto Clarity twice. Well, thank you, buddy. Justin says, it's still on my to-read list. Justin! If you can't read it, I'll read it to you. I have an audiobook for Keto Clarity. And 9.5 hours, and it's done. I give Keto Clarity as gifts as well, says Sherry. Thank you, Sherry. Hello, Nancy. Thank you for sharing. Sarah says, what a great book. Can't wait to get it. Nancy says, I need both of those books. Yes, you do, Nancy. Sheila says, it looks awesome. Thank you, Sheila. Samantha, I'm about 14 hours into a fast. All these beautiful pics are torture. Sorry, Samantha. They are gorgeous, though, right? Nancy says, awesome recipes. I'll have to feature one on in a highlight. Excellent. We would love that on Keto for Real Life People. All right. Can't wait to order it. Thank you, Gary. See you in Austin at KetoCon, says Sharon. Yes, you will. I will be there soon. All right, let's come over to Instagram. Thank you guys for being here. And again, if you came in late, I got a new book, baby. It's the Keto Clarity Cookbook, the long-awaited, companion book to my bestseller, Keto Clarity. Keto Clarity is sold right at like 500,000 copies worldwide, and it's been translated into about 17, 18 languages now. Pretty darn proud of that book. It'll probably be my legacy in this world, one of the things that people will remember me for. But we wanted to make sure we had a nice companion piece full of beautiful and delicious recipes, and my co-author Heather Russian did a really, really good job. Can't wait to get it, says Purple Owl. Thank you. Deanna says can't wait as well. Catherine says, not yet read Keto Clarity, so go get Keto Clarity. Kimmy says, I have almost all your books. Real Food Keto is my favorite. Yeah, that was my last book. And how can I not like Real Food Keto? It kind of assimilates all of the information with keto with the passion that we have for real food. I thought my iPad was falling. That's why I jumped. Sorry. Trying to find time to read all the keto books, including yours, says R.L. Blackbean. So, I don't think you necessarily need to read all of the keto books. Certainly, all of us have our own perspectives. Some of us disagree on various nuances of things. But I would say find the one that has high ratings on like Amazon. If it's 4.5 stars or higher, it's probably a pretty decent book you might want to check out. And the people that you know and the people that you follow and connect with, it's one thing that people have said, they love reading my books because they see me here on Jimmy Rants and they're like, hey, that's the same guy. In fact, what's funny is people will be reading the book and they say, I hear your voice when I'm reading the words. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry you have to hear my voice. I prompt Dr. Cole's book for all who eat vegetarian. Yeah, George, I was in a restaurant recently and this person that I was talking to said the same thing. I do mostly vegetables. How do I do a vegetable-based keto? And I always recommend Ketotarian. Kat says it gave me the easy language to explain keto to other people. My own language is too complicated. We can certainly overcomplicate it. Can't wait to get the book. Thank you. Recipes look yummy. Thank you, Mama Ors. Excited to get this, says Allison. I still like to track, says Holistic Ketosis, but I'm working on eating more intuitively. You're not alone. I think a lot of people, they feel like if they don't track, then they're going to slip up. And I get that. I get that allure of wanting to track. But I do think it never gets you out of the dieting mindset. And one of the things that keto has freed so many of us from is that obsession about worrying about your calories, that obsession about getting this percentage of macronutrient. We take all those games away. We just say, here's the food, eat the food, let it nourish you, and you'll be healthy. And I think the more simple we make this, the better. Allison says, I don't track, it's too stressful. Exactly. Deanna says, I've never tracked macros. I'm all about learning to eat intuitively, get off the diet train, just eating real whole foods. Yep. Ant says, the cover looks cool. Thank you. I'm pretty darn proud of that cover. And again, I like the kind of clean look. The background, the white background was really nice. Congrats to you and Heather. I have the pre-release and I can tell you this is an amazing cookbook. Thank you, Holistic Ketosis. I ordered 2 copies, one to keep and one to gift. Thank you, Purple Owl. Looks like it's going to be another great book. Thank you, Hey Di. I'm catching you live for the first time. Well, welcome, Mandy, to Jimmy Rants. Glad you're here today. Sesquillan says, I have new friends who have started keto and they complain about eating all the same stuff over and over again. I now know what book they're going to get. Yes. People that say you can't make keto interesting definitely have never picked up a cookbook about keto. And again, Heather does just such a bang-up job. The thing I love about Heather's recipe development is she doesn't come up with weird ingredients. You hate that about keto cookbooks, that sometimes you get kind of a funky monkey ingredient and you go, where in the world do I find that? And you have to order online and maybe order from a specialty store. Nobody has time for that. So get cookbooks that use real whole foods, good ingredients, whole food ingredients, and then that fit your desire to be ketogenic. It's not that hard. And this book will help you with that. Let's see, what came in over here? I hate to track, says Gary. Yeah, a lot of people don't like tracking, that's for sure. Sylvia says, I recently moved and can't wait to unpack my Keto Clarity book. Yeah. All right, guys, so one more time. Keto Clarity Cookbook. Rah, 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 rah. It is coming, you guys, 1 week from today, June the 18th, 2019. If you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, it might be after that date. So thank you for watching. Go over to KetoClarityCookbook.com. And if it's before June 18th, you can place your pre-order for either the Kindle or the paper. A lot of people are like, is it going to be an Audible audiobook? I'm like, nobody wants to hear Jimmy Moore read. 1/4 cup olive oil, 2 habanero peppers, seeded and quartered, 2 cloves of garlic. No, nobody wants to hear me do that. Would you listen to an audiobook to get a recipe? Yeah, I don't think many people would. So no audiobook, but Kindle and paper is over at KetoClarityCookbook.com on the Amazon. It takes you right to the Amazon page. And help us out, guys. We're really trying to make a splash with the book. And if it does really well on Amazon, that really helps it get into other stores, things like Costco. So that would be really cool. And for Heather, this is Heather's very first book ever. So for Heather Russian, let's do this for her. I've been very honored and privileged in my life to have a whole lot of successful books. And I'm grateful for all of you guys for your support. So let's go support someone else in the keto world that I think deserves to get that same recognition. Definitely getting this one. Looks scrumptious. It is R. Wimple. So scrumptious. Katrina says, I'm late to the party, but I do have the book pre-ordered for my Kindle just in time for a trip to the lake. Yeah, when you get the Kindle, I think they actually let you get the book like the night before the book comes out. So it'll be on your Kindle device waiting on you. So that's pretty cool. And then if you have Amazon Prime and you pre-order, they have it delivered the day the book comes out. So They send it to you either overnight or the 2-day, like they do with Amazon Prime, but they send it like Sunday, Monday, and then you get it on Tuesday. So that's always cool as well. So guys, go check out the Keto Clarity Cookbook. And I'm really excited. 9th book. If you'd have told me a decade ago that I would have 9 books by 2019. My first book came in 2006. I self-published. And my second book came in 2009. Again, self-published. That one did really well. So it got the attention of a publisher, Victor Belt Publishing. Then I released a book in 2013, Cholesterol Clarity. 2014, Keto Clarity. 2015, The Ketogenic Cookbook. 2016, The Complete Guide to Fasting. I didn't have any books in 2017, but in 2018, I had The Keto Cure and Real Food Keto. And this is my one and only book coming out this year, Keto Clarity Cookbook. So just real excited to get this out there in your hands. And I just sincerely appreciate all of your support. That's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. If you want to engage live in the content, you got to go follow me over on Instagram Live. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like all these people did here today. We also simulcast live sometimes over here on Facebook Live. So thank you guys for being here. Stick around for the Jimmy Rants after party here in just a second. If you missed the live on Instagram, you can watch it on replay for up to 24 hours. After 24 hours, you will need to pop on over to YouTube, type in a keyword search Jimmy Rants. You will find the show. Finally, the best of the best moments of this year's show, it's in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcasts as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. So until next time, go get Keto Clarity Cookbook, KetoClarityCookbook.com. We'll see you then.